Always live lovely.
You are now listening to Breaking Barriers, a mental health discussion. I'm your host, Chetina Guadalupe. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, consultant, speaker, and singer. Breaking Barriers, a mental health discussion was created to provide examples of conversations with various people on stigmatizing topics, to break barriers so that you can be encouraged to go within your own community and have these same conversations. Each episode is timeless. There's always something that you can receive from it over and over again. We push the bar a little bit with the topics we talk about. That's why it's called Breaking Barriers. We speak about things that people typically aren't creating space for so that we can all receive healing. Share with everyone you know because of this. There's something that everyone can benefit from in each episode. If you like what you hear and would like to support Always Live Lovely, please donate. This helps us to be able to continue to provide free information on multiple platforms. I will leave the link below. We appreciate any support you're able to provide to keep this thing going. If you would like to stay connected with all things Always Live Lovely, you can visit us at www.alwayslivelovely.com. We provide individual mental health, therapy services, consultations, products, music, information on upcoming events, and so much more. Don't miss out. And of course, if you like my vibe and you would like me to speak on your platform or at your next mental health event, connect with me at connect@alwayslivelovely.com. Enjoy the episode and remember, always live lovely.
Always living lovely. Just don't let the times go by. Do something. You don't gotta go outside yourself to prove nothing. You can lean on me if you need a hand. You can lean on me if you need a friend. You know that I got you. You know that we got you. Yeah.
Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to another episode of season 2 of Breaking Barriers, a mental health discussion. I am your host, Chetina Guadalupe, licensed marriage and family therapist, and the creator of Always Live Lovely. And let me tell y'all, this brother that I got on the episode today, okay, some of y'all may know him, some of y'all may not. I don't really know, but you're going to know him after today, okay? I am super excited. This has been in the making. Our schedules was like not trying to align, but it's aligning now. So we're making it happen because this is going to be a special episode. Now listen, when I first met him, he was Kales, but he'd have leveled up. So Ian Kelly, going back to the original. So I just want to introduce y'all to Mr. Ian Kelly himself. Can you please tell the people who you are, what you do, where you're coming from?
I'm coming from Oakland, California. My name is Ian Kelly, and I'm an artist, independent artist, and I'm out here trying to make waves the best way I can.
I love that. The ownership of independent artists trying to make waves, because you get to make the waves, you get to ride the waves, you get to navigate the waves, however you want to do it. So I am excited about our conversation today, because the conversation we will be talking about is on being a rapper. And sometimes people might feel like, well, what barriers is there to being a rapper? Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out, because it ain't all peaches and cream, and it ain't always easy peasy lemon squeezy. That was me trying to get my bars. I don't got none, but that's what we gonna roll with. So I definitely would love for you to just share a little bit about, where did this inspiration come from of you even wanting to pursue this passion, this career? Because y'all gonna find out a little later, but I met Ian in grad school. Me and Ian was in the same program, and he was going to be a therapist just like I am, but we knew from him sharing in class that he was an artist. And then, so where did this passion, desire come from for you to pursue this format of a career?
To be honest, I always felt a creative part about me, even like tidbit, like when I used to play like Pop Warner football, I would sing and rap songs to keep me calm, like on the field. And
Dope.
it was interesting. I never realized how much of an effect music had on me until like I finally got older and I got with some friends. I think I might have been around 17, and I saw them recording at the studio, and I was just like, I could do this, and I
Right.
just dived into it. And then from there, I was in class, like writing lyrics, while we're supposed to be doing classwork, taking notes. I would just kind of get sidetracked. And at that point, I just kind of realized I'm like, nah, there's something in me that really wants to do this and really loves
Right.
this. And from there, just kept on blossoming, to be real.
Mhm. Mhm. Do you feel like, first of all, let me just point out the fact that you were sitting there, Lil Ian, regulating himself so that he could make some scores, touchdowns and whatnot. So I think that's pretty darn amazing. And most kids probably need to know that it's okay to tap into that skill because when you're in school settings and whatnot, and if you like tapping on the desk or you rapping to yourself, or like I've been a therapist to kids that have higher needs and they sit there and they rap. I knew what they were doing. I knew they were self-regulating, but in the traditional like settings of a lot of things, kids get in trouble for that. So if kids have more permission to know you can regulate yourself in that way, they would
Right.
probably blossom and be more phenomenal than they already are. So I just think it's amazing you gave yourself permission to be like, I'm about to spit these bars. I'm about to catch this ball. I'm about to do this. So I think like that's really amazing. Do you feel like, was it ever somewhere in your story too of like, a lot of people when they want to be like a singer or an actor, like they see somebody and they're like, ooh, like that's really dope. I see what they're doing. Do you think that was ever you?
I think I took pieces of so many different people that it wound up turning into me. I had a friend that was really close to me that was also rapping when I was like 17, 18. He goes by the name of GQ.
Mm-hmm.
And watching him, he was like one of the first people who I personally knew from like Oakland that I'm just like, oh, you rap different, but you're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And that really inspired me to even like pick up the pen some. And don't get me wrong, like just Bay Area music in general, things that we've heard from back in the day, like Too Short, E40, everybody, like they were all, inspirations. But to then have somebody right next to me who I could physically like touch and see,
Yeah.
that definitely kind of really sparked stuff for me. But to be honest, it's always felt like a calling that I didn't realize what the calling was to make. For example,
Mm-hmm.
I was 6 years old. I remember playing this football video game, and I was playing it. And when I played it, I was just like, "Ooh, I'm gonna be on TV doing that." And
Mm-hmm.
literally, at 6, I forget. I won't forget this. Then I stopped, and I was like, "Well, you know what? I might not be on TV doing that, but I'm gonna be on TV."
Yeah,
And
doing something.
yeah, just doing something. And I think, not to say like that's just my aspiration to, I just want to be on TV, but it's something that I realized like it's been piece by piece, that just started kind of like growing into me. And then I look up and, I've had music on BET and, I've
Mm-hmm.
had songs and video games. I'm just kind of like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
speaking things to existence. So
Ooh,
yeah,
you better not be Lil Ian playing a video game and then Big Ian having music on a video game. Oh, that is a full circle moment. That's
yeah,
a big deal.
yeah, it's
That
great.
that's amazing. Making yourself proud. That's amazing. I appreciate you definitely sharing that. And like I hear you in the tangibleness, and especially like I feel like so many people now at this point have come from the Bay Area that it feels more realistic. But I feel like probably when we were younger, we probably didn't necessarily know anyone that we can touch and have a conversation with that's doing things like that. Of course, we know people that are like, you know, frontline workers or factory workers, or having careers as teachers, or maybe doctors or nurses or things like that. But doing something in the entertainment business always feels like it's like a far away, once in a million lifetime. It always felt like that until
Right.
more people that, especially that I knew, especially coming from an art school, started to be on TV, be in music. Like, even from me being on dance teams, people are all over on award shows, on commercials. And I'm like, wow, it's much more realistic to where even when I think back, I'm pretty sure I'm in the field that I'm supposed to be doing, but I can imagine when I think back, I'm like, dang, if I would have even been able to touch or have conversations or see more people that were actually doing it, I might have would have felt more compelled to be like, no, this is actually realistic for me, and I don't have to actually play it safe. And maybe my parents would have felt that way too. Like, you don't need an option B, option C. Like, you can do this because we see a lot of people making it happen. So I agree with you. And like, it makes a difference to have somebody that's doing something similar that you can have conversations with, because it just helps show like, oh, this is really possible, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
I definitely like vibe with that. And I know that with being a rapper, I can imagine, like I said, it ain't all peaches and cream.
Mhm.
So with wanting to pursue this, like, what has it been like for you just choosing to go full fledged into it, and like maybe some like assumptions and difficulties that you feel like you faced?
It's definitely been a bumpy ride. You definitely have your highs and lows as an artist. You definitely have to be real. I feel like every artist should almost have a therapist or have somebody they can really, really kind of like vent and talk to,
For
because
real.
it's very easy as an artist to just get in here and stuck in here with so many different thoughts and so many different things. I think one of the assumptions sometimes I feel that people it may be kind of funny. I think just the way an artist is perceived and the way a rapper is perceived, a lot of the biggest assumption I always get from people is that they don't really think I'm a rapper when I first tell them I'm a rapper or artist. They're just kind of like, really? Like, you don't really seem like it. And then
Mhm.
next thing you know, I get into my bag and they're like, oh no, you definitely are who you
You
say you are.
said who you said you was. You is him.
And I think another thing just being an artist is you have to have faith in something.
Mhm.
Uh, so whether that be your art, whether that be yourself, whether that be the person who's behind you, pushing you, and you believe their words, like that has helped me a lot. Just having faith in something to help push through every day
Yeah.
with the art.
Yeah. Something that helps you carry through, because I'm sure the entertainment business can be wild. Like that's
Yeah.
one thing I sit back and I think about. I'm like, given and knowing like I have anxiety and just different things, I'm like, Shatina, I'm like, would I have even been able to mentally handle being in the entertainment
Right.
industry, like fresh out of high school, just going and throwing myself? I don't know, because we see all these different, like, even a lot of like singers, or I was super into Disney thinking I was going to be on Disney Channel. You can be on Disney Channel and even be like 40, 50 and play a 17-year-olds if you look like it. Hey, but anyways, like seeing people like, Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez and like just all these people that are like, okay, they had some moments because of it wasn't all what it appeared to be just from them having these TV shows and these record deals and things like that. And so I often reflect like, okay, no, maybe I wasn't supposed to actually do that, because who knows how I would have mentally been able to handle it. And I
Right.
do feel like a lot of artists need that mental health support and that faith and whatever else they need to lean on in order to honestly stay grounded and
Yeah.
not get lost, and even in that arena, do you feel like it's been hard to remain grounded and not kind of be like, oh, I'm feeling myself a little bit like?
Oh, I've gone through. Nipsey Hussle has a great interview where he actually says, you know, rest his soul, where he actually said, I've been through every single emotion. The
Mhm.
only, the only thing that just made me different than others is that I just didn't quit. You know,
Mhm.
I agree with that. I've had moments where the ego takes into play because, of who I had been connected to. And then I had moments where I was just like, man, I don't know if this is ever going to get off the ground.
Mhm.
And moments where I just finally realize resilience. Resilience is the biggest thing that's going to push you through. You have to be able to push through all those type of situations and emotions and moments. So that's definitely something that like I had to acknowledge myself, even as an artist. Just like you're going to go through all these emotions and it's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you're showing love to yourself at the end and pushing through, it's going to all turn out how it needs to turn out. And another thing, I will say that once you get connected to like a label situation that I used to be a part of, I feel like an assumption people would make is that they feel like, oh, you set, like, it's just
Yeah.
it's timing until the label like presses the button on you. Really, it's like, nah, sometimes them situations come with now you got to put even more work than you did before. And
Mhm.
gotta have, an extra oomph to you to be able to shine amongst the next artist that is right next to you as well.
Right.
It's definitely it can be a power struggle at times, but you have to push through.
Yeah, I definitely I can see where you're coming from because I think that is the notion of what everyone thinks. It's like, oh, you made it. It's just like once you go on TV, oh, you made it. Like, and that may not fully actually be the case because the industry can be great, and also we know it can be a dog eat dog world. I was literally just talking to my husband about this. Who was we was listening to I think 702 or somewhere in there, and I was just sitting here real upset, honestly, like real upset in my feelings, like I'm the ones that's in them groups. But I was just like, dang, like we really still sit here and sing these songs from the top of our lungs. And I was like, are they getting money from it? And he was like, probably not. And I'm like, well, who the heck is getting the money from these songs? Like, that's unfair. And he was just like, well, like, that's probably the contract they had. That's probably what it was. But I'm like, that hurts my soul because some songs are never going to get old and we are going to play them joints to the bones. And I'm like, and the people that sat here and used the vocals and did the rapping and did all this, they're not even reaping any benefits from it. Like they should be set. They shouldn't be struggling. It shouldn't be nothing. But it goes to show the flip side of just because you on a label, just because you got a record deal, just because you might be on tour, just because you might be doing those things, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're set and that you're good.
Exactly. This it most times it actually means this is where the work really, really starts now when people
Uh-huh.
get the situations. For real, for real.
And do you feel like, because I can imagine there's lots of people that, growing up or realize later in life, like, I want to do this kind of career. Do you feel like there's things that are helpful for people to know in regards to like when it comes to like doing that extra work? Because you can't just sit back and be like, oh, we here now. Like I can kick my feet back and it's smooth selling.
The biggest thing I'll tell artists for surely is gain the knowledge, do the research, make sure you're studying how to get paid from every single play, make sure you're studying how to you protect yourself, as you're pushing forward. I tell most artists create your own label and then sign yourself, so then that way when you set
That's
up deals,
smart.
you actually have conversations with other people, you protect yourself on the front end and the back end. So then also when you start trying to do bigger plays with people, and they be like, most entities want to talk to your label, or talk to your manager. You sign yourself, then be like, all right, well, I want to talk to your label. It's like, oh yeah, cool, I'll holler at my label. Boom, you are your label. Now they're talking to you on the front and back end, and you're securing yourself, protecting yourself.
It sounds like Ian is talking to Ian, but I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet. Yes, being able to, make sure that things are secure and things are set. And do you feel like being that, like you said, you know where you come from, and then you've had some rises and you sound like you've had some falls and you sound like you're floating somewhere in between. When it comes to just like your support circle and like assumptions that maybe you've heard, or maybe some not so supportive people that are like in your circle, do you feel like anything has been difficult in that arena?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. Luckily, I can say right now I have a great support system and a great group of friends and team around me that definitely believe in me. But yeah, I've had moments where everybody doesn't have your best interests, and I've had moments where you can feel a little used in this game depending on what's going on. Like I know I've helped write for people before and haven't really gotten like writer's credit, or I've helped construct situations and even like some deals for some people before, and you don't really get any credit. And it's just something that you have to not take personal, because you start to realize this is a big business. you
Mhm.
know you have to understand, business is going to work like that. You just have to make sure you get your business in a space have more leverage.
What has it been like for your family life? Do you feel like family and close friends like that been knowing you since day
Mm.
one, have they been supportive of the journey? Have people fell off? Because sometimes that tends to happen. Or have you had experiences where people have been like, I don't know, you need to plan Z, like, or people just been like, oh, he gonna make it, he cool.
No, definitely. Sometimes, to be honest, like you have some friends and family that like are gung ho about it, and they were like, yeah, go for it, I see it. But I've definitely,
Yeah, go for it, see it.
yeah, there definitely has been chunks where of people where they don't really see it. They're kind of skeptical of it. They may not be 110% behind you. Supportive about it, and you have to realize you gotta be your own biggest fan at the end.
Mhm.
Like no matter what the next says, like if you don't believe it, how they supposed to believe it,
Yeah.
And that's been something that, has been a growing lesson for myself to just like learn and realize like, hey, like you can't really put pressure on your family or your people to be your biggest fans, because if you're really in for this, they were never supposed to just be the only fans. It was supposed to reach
Yeah.
more people. So let your family and friends be that, you know.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
has been a big lesson for me, especially with creation and just being an artist.
Yeah. I like that. I like the way that you put that because I definitely feel like the people that are like usually closest to us in our life, like, if they're in a healthy and great space, they want us to succeed. And then
Hmm.
so when you choose something that feels like there's not a clear path of how you're going to get there, how you're going to get to success, or it feels like you're playing the lottery, sometimes that's where people's fears kick in. And then that's when they're kind of like, I don't know if this is going to happen. Maybe you need to figure something else out or what exactly is going on. Cause I know, like, even my parents, they wanted me to be, set and make sure I'm good. And that was one reason why after graduation from high school, they was like, okay, so what you about to do? And I'm like, what you mean? I just went to school to be a singer. Like, I'm about to go to Disney Channel. I'm about to be on BET. I'm about to be doing all this other stuff. And they were like, no, you need to find a different major that's different than music so that all of your coins are not in the same bucket. And you need to, and I was like, oh, okay, well, what else do I even like? I guess I like psychology. Okay, so what that look like? I'm supposed to be a therapist. Okay, well, let me go to school so I can be a therapist. And then I found out, like, okay, being a therapist take heck of work. Like, that's a lot of energy. And now I don't got no time to do music. I don't have time to dance. I'm trying to sit here and get my 4.0s, and now I done pushed it all the way to the side. But it's like even now with like taking a launch and doing a business, it's the same thing. I feel like sometimes as going the entertainment route, there's no clear path. Anything entrepreneurial where it's like you're not about to have a 9 to 5 that's going to give you a check at this time, at that day, you can count on it. It always provokes fear in people of like, what the heck are you doing? Like, why
Right.
would you do something like that? Like, you need to make sure everything else is in order first before you actually take this jump. But you're right. Like, you have to see it and believe in it and have no regrets and know and feel like, I got to do this. Because if I don't do this, I'm the one that's letting myself down at the end of the day. I'm the one that's going to
Right.
be upset and kind of like take from people what you can and then put the things that aren't really helpful or that feel like it can be put you in a more self-defeating place, like push those things to the side.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that, well, before I even get to this, because that was segueing in one way, but I do have like a little side thing to ask. So,
Hmm.
and hopefully you're okay with that. But for people, I'm sure that people have asked you this question, and I'm just going to use Kevin Hart for it like a reference because I know that Kevin Hart in the beginning, and probably even so now, he's always like the butt of jokes for his height, and people always just bagging on him. But Kevin Hart is completely hilarious to me, so I don't even be tripping. But I can imagine when people see you because Ian is on the shorter side. Do you feel like people don't take you as seriously because of what the package is supposed to look like for a rapper? And does that play into what people's assumptions may be when you're like, this is what I do, and they're like, no you don't, and then they hear you and you're like, oh, you really do this? Okay, we see you.
Nah, because most artists are short.
Really?
Yeah, you just
Tell me, because I just need to know.
yeah, most artists really are, not that tall.
Hmm.
So no, I don't really think about that. Not really.
That's good, because
Yeah.
that would be something that I feel like people would like, say, or people with it's just like being a dancer, which I've loved. Like, I feel like so much in the entertainment world, not so much, let me back it up. Some things in the entertainment world has changed because I know my husband and I were watching Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls. I don't know if you've
Hmm.
watched it, but oh, we love that show. And even like Rihanna's, I finally got to watch her Savage Fenty lingerie line, and like just so many stigmas and barriers are being pushed for what people look like and how they're supposed to look
Hmm.
with doing certain things in art forms. And then so one of my assumptions for you would have been like, okay, do people try to feel like, okay, nah, maybe we're not going to take you as seriously, or no, maybe that, because sometimes I feel like people do that to other people. Like I said, Kevin Hart as a reference, other people in other different art forms of trying to like push their buttons, or they're always like the butt of a misunderstanding or the butt of a joke or a butt of this. But you're actually 100% right. Because when I be Googling people heights, I'd be like, oh, They about as tall as I am. I don't know why everybody look bigger on TV.
But I was about to say, most people look bigger on TV. I feel like maybe if it's acting, maybe, or something along that lines. But Lil Wayne, Kendrick, Currency, Little Kim, like the to be honest, tall rappers are kind of more rare from what I'm seeing. I feel like most artists tend to be like 5'8" and
Mm-hmm.
down.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I can dig that because that's why I'm like, that would have been an assumption that I would have made. Me throwing my own assumptions into the mix. Like, that would have been something I would have said. Like, oh, like, well, how does this feel? Like, do you experience any flack with that? So I like that that's not even something that you have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Because the less things you have to worry about, the better. And going back to, like I was saying, in regards to like just background and different things you were doing. So, like I told y'all in the beginning, I met Ian in grad school.
Right.
Now, Ian, I don't know what happened after I graduated and left. I don't know how it got from here to there, but I know what you said. You said you was gonna do, and clearly you did it. But like, fill me in some gap of somewhere of when it got to the point. I knew that if it got to the point to where you got an opportunity that you were gonna leave grad school and you were gonna pursue what you were doing. So tell me, like, what was that like for you of like losing that safety net as I just described? Of having a plan B if this don't necessarily work, then I'm gonna do this. What did that look like for you?
For me, honestly, while I was in grad school, as at a certain point, I just noticed that I kind of felt like I was on autopilot a little bit. Like I started kind of thinking about art all the time, and I found myself still being tapped into the classes and learning, but I found myself wanting to create even more, and I wound up getting an opportunity to go do that for a second. I wound up being able to go out and reach out to a label through another friend, GQ, and he's been signed to Jamla Records,
Mm-hmm.
and to go out there, I was able to just kind of experience stuff, and I got to meet and connect with people. I got to meet Ninth Wonder and Rhapsody and producer by the name of Crisis. I got to meet some heavy hitters, and then to have them see me and then want to be like, oh yeah, like you
Mm-hmm.
got it. It then changed a lot of stuff for me. So then boom, at that moment I realized this is really what I want to do, and this is really where it's at.
You were like, withdraw without a doubt. Buy holy names.
Pretty much.
So I completely I get that. And I think it's so beautiful because I know that was definitely a proud moment for me when I was like, he done did exactly what he said. He said, all I need is opportunity. And once the opportunity come, like, bye, I'm leaving. So
Hey, I got to get it.
I think that's great. And I'm happy that you got the opportunity because that says something. Like sometimes people, have difficulties with figuring out what am I supposed to do, or they might feel pulled between two different directions, or it's the fear that's leading them. So the fact that you were in a space and you were like, oh, I'm actually thinking about this even more now than maybe what you were when you entered the program and you felt like you had more of like uh I don't know, just a solid understanding of this is exactly the direction I'm supposed to be going in. It made sense. That's what you were supposed to be doing. You were supposed to get the opportunity. You were supposed to leave. You were supposed to get to where you is now. And it wasn't maybe later. Maybe one day you will go back and finish up. It won't be a Holy Names, unfortunately. Sorry, folks, because yeah,
Yeah, I found that
If you
out
know,
too.
you
So
know.
I
If
found
you
that
know,
out
you
too.
know. But like, maybe one day you might finish it and just be like, hey, this is just something that I want. Because even in that reminds me, because I know that you probably shared it in spaces before, but what had gave you the inspiration to even want to pursue and give that degree a try?
um Even it still ties in with music now. I've always wanted to give back. Even with what I do now, I don't just make music to try to be cool or look cool or just want to be that dude. Or it's not ego based for me. I believe that you can touch people. I still believe that music is therapy. So
Mm-hmm.
still, when I hopped in the program, my main thing was I wanted to help people, but I started realizing I'm like, I could help some this way, but I feel like I could help even more through my gifts
Mm-hmm.
if I do it this way. So I still like to provide what I see as therapy through music.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that because I know Ian and I were talking earlier about me stepping my foot back into the music world, trying to figure out what I want that to look like, but me definitely knowing I want it to be a vehicle for healing, because I like before therapy and everything, all my life, what was healing for me was music and dance. That was everything to me. That's what got me through a lot of things that would help me be able to process in a more somatic body way and in a thinking way, and just being able to sing out emotions. Even now, the music that I'm starting to create, I'm like, God dang it, I'm giving this every single ounce that I have, and you can hear it. It feels different. It sounds different. It's not just like, oh, I just like to sing. Here I am. It's like, no, I am singing from my heart, from my guts, from my life, from everything, and talking about real mental health experiences. And, it's important to know that if you have multi different talents and different things, you don't have to box yourself in to just doing one thing, but you can help touch people and help heal people in a vast variety of different ways. And so
Right.
you're like, just doing therapy in a different way, a different kind of way. That's how I like to look at music.
There you go. Exactly. We're on the same page. We're on the same team. Okay.
Yes, we are on the same team. And do you feel like there's key things that help you stay when the going gets tough? Like, what usually helps you stay mentally well, mentally balanced, like checking in with yourself, making sure you're
Uh,
good?
Remembering that this is my purpose. I truly believe I was brought here for this reason. I think it took a minute for me to really own that, but the more I started kind of looking at things, and even when I started having people DM me about my music and how it helped them out, or had people kind of bump into me and let me know like, hey, I've been watching you for a while, and you've helped me in my career. It started hitting me so much differently. Just like, okay, like, no, this really is why I'm here. I'm here to inspire. I'm here to support, as you know, as well as still, pour into myself. But I'm definitely believing that I'm here to give in this type of form, which is music. I used to take a class in college, and we learned about griots. And I remember when I learned about a griot, I'm just kind of like, okay, those that tell the story of the land
Hmm.
and tell things through musical form. I'm just like, that's how I see myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great way of looking at it. And it's really powerful as well. Because when you're able to find a deeper attachment to the purpose of what you're doing, that helps, because it goes back into the assumption of people think when you do this and you appear somewhere, then that means you got heck of money, you got heck of this, you got heck of that. And if your life doesn't reflect the assumption of what it's supposed to all look like, or what it's supposed to steadily look like throughout the whole way, then that can really make you feel down in the dumps, or make you feel like, dang, I'm not that successful, or make you feel embarrassed, or make you just get more into the negative narrative of things. But if you have your own metaphors, affirmations, faith, support system, everything to kind of stand upon, then it's unwavering and you won't crumble. When things crumble, you won't just be falling down the hill with it, with the rocks rolling and tumbling on you, and you just falling on over it. Like that won't be you. You're still able to stand firm, stand on top, and just be like, all right, bet. Like, what's the next mountain we about to go up? What's the next hill we about to climb? Like, what does it look like? And I definitely feel that energy from you. And I definitely see that that's your mindset. And I think that it's amazing that you've gotten yourself to a place of just being like, oh yeah, maybe there is times where I was riding the ego wave, and now maybe I'm a little more humble, or now I'm reminded like, okay, like this is what I'm doing and this is where I am. And knowing that things like that are okay, and that you don't even have to feel bad about that, because it happens to everybody. It happens to the best of us. I feel like we all should have a moment where we feel in ourselves. If we get into where we trying to go, like, well, why not? Like, so I appreciate you being honest and real about that. And I know that one thing that you mentioned earlier in the conversation was artists. Like, artists, I feel like everybody needs therapists. Everybody needs therapists. Therapists need a therapist. We all just need therapists. Do you
Mhm.
feel like that's something that you have or would ever utilize, just as another tool to like stay mentally sane, mentally well?
Definitely. I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine 2 days ago, and I was just like, I'm ready to kind of jump back in that bag. Could you offer me like a suggestion for a therapist that you have, and can I get their number? Because I do feel like it's important. And
Yeah.
for me, I used to have that balance because I was a therapeutic behavior specialist for a minute, and we would
Mm-hmm.
have an on-site therapist. And no lie, if everything was going well with our clients at the time, then we would have, time where we'd be like, all right, well, how about for you? Let's talk. And I would have kind of like mini therapy sessions, and it was crazy because, I mean, I used the word crazy, but it was been, my apologies.
Right.
It was very interesting to see it all come together,
Hmm.
and I'm just kind of like, wow, this is tight the way, somebody actually can help you see something from a different perspective that you may have just missed yourself. All it
Yeah.
takes is for you to just kind of slow down and just, assess everything. So
Yeah.
I'm actually in a space where I think one would definitely be beneficial. And not to say that I'm just going through immense turmoil, but I'm feeling myself get to another space where I'm just like, yeah, a little bit more support will help as I hit
Yeah.
this next stride.
Yeah, I appreciate that honesty because, as you know, and as I know, you don't have to be in a space of complete utter turmoil in order to utilize therapy. It could just be something of tapping in, maintenance. Like, you know that you're entering into another phase of life. So you want to make sure that mentally you're good. We're taught to take care of our body the best we can, but that's normalized. What was never normalized was how to take care of your mental, how to take care of your mind, how to make sure that you're good. And so it's important to be able to know when the time comes to tap in, because it's not like therapy is something people got to be in their entire life. Like
Right.
it comes in phases. You need it now, you might be cool, you might not need it then, you might switch therapists, you might try it again, you might take 10 years off, you might be in it for 10 years. Everybody's journey looks different. And one of the great things, honestly, it's like a good thing, but then some people like see it negative because I know like my private practice is virtual and some people really vibe that. Yeah. So like the pandemic really showed me one, like I started to feel really weird going back in person with people. And I was like, I don't know if I like this so much, but I really vibe being in the virtual world with people. And I was able to meet with more people that may not have had the time or had access to therapy in a traditional between 9 and 5 type of
Mhm.
situation, or they can't go because you have to physically drive to this place and maybe they didn't have the space. Maybe they're at work. So being in like offering virtual services, like, while I was at my 9 to 5, like people was able to talk to me when they was on their lunch break. Like people didn't
Mhm.
have to like, leave work, or maybe if they were at home and they were like far from like the college campus and they didn't have to come, they still could like see me. And then so I know some people really need the in person. But I can imagine that even for people that, maybe in the entertainment industry, sometimes virtually is cool too, because you don't have to just stay in the one place. You don't have to no longer go right into the office if you can't make it. You can still seek the services and get the services, because majority, honestly, real talk, I feel like 80% of therapists are all still virtual. I don't know if that's everybody's goal to remain virtual. My goal is to be virtual, but a lot of
Mhm.
people that had like brick and mortar like places where they were working, a lot of them still haven't actually shifted back. I don't know if that's because of people realizing the flexibility of it. I don't know if people still have fear of COVID. I don't really know what the deal is, but it just seems like it's being a push for even the human population to be more open to receiving services virtually if possible. So I definitely feel like if that's something that you're seeking for, I can give you some quick suggestions, offline about things. But like, I appreciate that because, there's a huge stigma with men in therapy.
Oh yeah, for surely, for surely. Everybody needs help. Everybody in some type of form, whatever it is, everybody needs a little bit of help.
Yes. I 100% agree with you. And, I think that it's phenomenal, all that it is that you've done. I do really, really appreciate you taking the time out because I ain't even about to lie. See, I like that I'm throwing the assumptions in because a lot of this was about assumptions and like you breaking your own barriers. And so y'all know I gotta throw my assumptions in too, because why not? Let me make it real. Like even for me, I was just like, oh, I think I want to get Ian on my podcast. And I was like, Ian ain't about to do our podcast. Like, that's in my mind. I'm like, I probably got to go through a manager to even get to Ian now. Do I even still got Ian number? I don't even know. Let me just try to hit him on Instagram. Let me see if he even answer. And I'm like, well, I'll be darned. He answered me back. But I was like, I
Yeah.
did just see him. Like, so maybe, but literally that comes with assumptions of like when people start to begin to do things, then you just like, oh, are they gonna start acting funny? Like, oh, are they still accessible? Because I'm gonna be real with you. I ain't gonna name no names, but I do have people that do act funny, and I do have people that act like they're not accessible no more. And I do just be like, for real though, okay, bet. I ain't gonna treat you like that, but okay, bet. So the fact that like you were willing, you were easy, like stay that way forever because it makes you like a lot more personable, and it's people remember that. You know what I'm saying? Like people remember that. Like I truly enjoyed running into you, like ironically, just like running into you, and I'm like, Ian is still Ian, and I love that. Like that makes my soul happy because you can be bigger than life. You can do all the things you want to do, and you can still be cool and popping in front of Bay and messing with
You
everybody and being chill. Like
feel
you
me?
don't
You
even
feel
got to
me?
do all that.
You feel me? If it's in you, it's in you. I think the biggest thing I can definitely say is that the biggest thing that might have changed about me is I'm busier, but
Yeah.
I'm still me,
Hmm.
and I think, it's important to still stay yourself however you rise, because as soon as the moment you lose track of that, it's all gone. So,
Yeah.
I like to stay me through it all.
Yeah. Then you've lost yourself, and then what's really holding you down? It's like being a balloon. You're just about to float away. Like there's nothing really holding you down the moment that you
Mhm.
lose that. So stay that way. It's very important. It definitely it means a lot. I love when people are accessible, and even when they're busy, it's still being able to have a certain rate of like response and just being real and being authentic. Like I think that that's just such a beautiful thing, because there's a lot of people that you can touch by remaining in that space and not being too hard to kind of like grass or talk to, or people being able to get in any kind of form of contact with you. So I appreciate you thoroughly. I'm so happy that we were reconnected. Like y'all, this was a little special treat for this season, and I'm definitely hoping that y'all gain some things from it, because I've tried to do a lot of different topics and I try to keep them different. I try to like touch on things that people typically probably won't really talk about on a mental health podcast.
Right.
And even if
Right.
it's one person listening that's now like, you know what, I'm about to go and do this because listening to Ian just made me, then I'm just like, okay, job well done. Like I'm excited and I'm happy about that. And so I definitely want you to tell people, like, if you have anything upcoming, like where can they even listen to your art? Like how can people get in contact with you if they did have a question and you're like, hey, I'm open to you asking me a question if they were so moved to do so. Just tell the people once again like who you are, how can they get in contact with you, what you got upcoming, what you already got out, because I know you don't drop some hot stuff recently, so just let them know.
Well, if you tap into my Spotify, my Apple Music, my Amazon Music, you'll see that I dropped a project a couple years ago. I also dropped a project last year as an EP. And you can find me on all social medias at First Name Ian. Literally type in first name
Name Ian.
Ian, and I pop up. And no lie, I still respond to my DMs. I ain't bougie. So, yeah, I got time.
He ain't bad and bougie out here, and let me tell y'all, if you try to act bad and bougie, I'm going send him a text message and be like, don't be doing too much. So that's the key word. Don't be doing too much. All caps with the hand claps. Don't be doing too much. So
Hey,
I get him a line in case y'all got some questions. Yeah, like he ain't responding. Just let me know. And I don't be doing too much. So I appreciate you so much for coming on the platform. Like he said, follow him. Like listen to his music. He ain't just sitting here rapping about some I don't even know what he's saying type stuff. Like he raps about things that's from the heart, that's real. So give him a listen, give him a try. Tell it to all the people you know. Tell it to your auntie, uncle, cousins, sisters, best friends. Keep an eye out. He's on the rise. He's doing amazing things, and be inspired to literally go after what it is that you want. You may not have the means to do it now. Maybe you have the means to do it in the future. Maybe you don't feel like you have a lot of support. Maybe you do have a lot of support. Whatever your situation is and how it looks, keep your dream in your heart and don't let that stuff go. Because the last thing you want to do is be buried with your dream because you're the one that's going to be disappointed. When the world needs to see it, the world needs to experience all of you in whatever format it needs to be in. So keep pursuing your dreams, and hopefully that is one thing you got from this, as well as how to stay mentally sane while doing it.
there we go.
So we
Gems.
appreciate y'all. Yes, yes, yes. And I'm looking forward to seeing y'all on the next episode.
Peace, y'all.